Hey guys, just want to remind you before we start the show to go to joeshrimpshack.com for some of the most amazing shrimp with promo code AquariumGuys at checkout for 10% off your entire order. There's never been a better time to check out some sweet shrimp from joeshrimpshack.com. Also, don't forget about our charity of choice, the Ohio Fish Rescue. Team Tracy is still going strong. They need your support, love and support more than ever. We have the GoFundMe in the show notes. Certainly check them out and consider donating. All the proceeds go to help with their needs and medical costs during this rough time. Certainly check them out. Their information on exactly the status is in the GoFundMe link. Also, just a quick reminder to come see us March 21st at the Aquarium Expo in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're super excited to be there. Can't wait to hang out with you guys. Certainly check it out. The link is also in the show notes. Thanks so much, and let's kick the show.
Welcome to the Aquarium Guys podcast with your hosts, Jim Colby and Robbz Olson.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. This week, I'm actually in West Virginia. I'm helping a friend, originally a fan of ours on the podcast, set up an entire fish room. And it's going to be, 1,100 gallons when it's all said and done?
Yep, 1,100 gallons.
Fantastic. So I'm here with Justin Templeton. He is a big fan of the show and just, said, hey, Robbz, can you come out, help me with this, get it done? So I've been here for now, this is the fourth day?
Fourth day. Yep.
I'm going home tomorrow, and I just didn't want to miss out on the podcast. And we go extra the mile to get you guys valuable content. But again, I'm your host, Robbz Olson.
I'm Jim Colby.
And I'm Adam El-Nashar.
Welcome to the party that is the Aquarium Guys podcast. We're sitting here in the hotel room in West Virginia with a bed sheet over our head just to make sure we can try to get the audio quality as good as possible. So certainly forgive us. This podcast, we want to go over, and we've saved a bunch of your guys' questions, whether they're from email, from Facebook, or from Discord. We have gathered a subset of hand-picked questions, and we're going to finally chew them down. We've had a bunch that can get answered a lot, or maybe it's that one secret thing that you've always wanted to know. So we're going to take the opportunity to review those. But before we do, let's do some house cleaning. So being in West Virginia, there's a bit of a culture shock here, and I'm learning that
wasn't the first clue.
The banjos, the missing teeth. No, just kidding. I'm joking. It's actually a very pretty countryside, very hilly. We're not quite in the mountains, but there's springs everywhere. I'm used to seeing bodies of water, so seeing a spring is not that common in Minnesota. They're there, but they are everywhere here. Like there's a spring right outside our hotel window. It's beautiful, but I'm learning that there's a lot of different mannerisms in different states. So we stopped at a pet store. We were heading there. They closed at 7. We got 10 minutes to get there to pick up something for the room we're working in. So I call the phone to see, or pick up on the phone and call the pet store. And I said, hey, sir, I'm just on my way to pick up this item. Is it possible you could hold the door for me? And the guy got angry with me on the phone and says, nope, we are locking at 7 o'clock, and just got snippy and hung up the phone. I'm like, well, I think I'm going to make it there on time anyway. Sure enough, we did. And apparently Justin told me, we have a debate on that hold the door for me is somehow rude.
It is rude.
How is it rude?
It's rude. It is looked at as uppity here. It's
you
are
jerk.
asking someone else to hold the door for you. Like, I'm so important and I'm such a VIP that you should hold the door for me. And that's why he was rude to you.
So sure enough, we got in the pet store. The owner was there. And the other guy immediately saw us and walked off, pissed, because I don't know, clearly I, pissed in this buckwheat. But I talked to the owner, like, if you could, he seems already in the back room. Could you apologize for me? In Minnesota, that's just like a a nonchalant term. Like, oh, could you, just be a bro and just, hold that for me until I get there. I'm gonna be like 2 minutes late. I'm just getting one item. Thank you. We've been having a debate, stopping at gas stations, asking, hey, is this a true thing? And trying to do a review. And so far, it's pretty well in your favor, Justin. Yeah. I'm learning that in West Virginia, don't ask to hold the door open because they're just going to slam in your face.
Well, they're not Minnesota nice. Duh.
Wow, you're pissing off people in other states, and you've only been there for 4 days. That's pretty cool.
I know.
That has got to be a record, isn't it?
No, it's not a record. He usually does it in about 10 minutes.
Love you too. Another thing is, I just want to give these guys a shout out to the pet store. It's Inland Reef Pet Store in Cross Lanes, West Virginia, and it's a fantastic pet store. The owner there, or the manager there, was very nice, very accommodating, and certainly give a shout out on the podcast to them. I certainly told them I would, and they were very nice once I explained myself and told them, I apologize for being rude. Another thing I learned in the last 2 weeks that's blown my mind is maybe you guys know more, and I'm really asking for a call for help. I have now learned that Minnesota has freshwater jellyfish.
What?
I didn't know that there was freshwater jellyfish, much less them being able to live and thrive in Minnesota.
Where are these located, Robbz?
So apparently, looking this up, and I even messaged the DNR on this.
Don't believe the DNR.
They're located.
They won't even tell me where Bigfoot is.
I know, right? They are located in random places across the state. And if you go on Wikipedia, they actually show, there was a big bloom of them across a lot of Minnesota lakes in 2010. That people were finding them all over the place.
What type of jellyfish are they?
So I can't pronounce it, but we'll put the name in the show notes. It's a long, complicated name. I cannot find some sort of common nickname, but the only thing I've heard them referred to is freshwater jellyfish. So I'm assuming that is the only breed. But if that's the case, I want to find these. I want to make a jellyfish aquarium because now they have jellyfish aquarium for saltwater tanks. Why can't I do it for fresh? I must know what these are.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them in a few lakes up north in Itasca County.
Dude.
Yeah, they're in a lot of places. I heard like Clear Lake, Minnesota. There's a lot, and the more I search, the more I find pictures of people having them. We have this business called Robbz that's in different places across Minnesota where they have pizza and Mexican joint, and I'm seeing people with like Robbz cups scooping them from the water. So they're there during certain seasonal times of the year. I must find these things. So if you have information, email us on the aquariumguyspodcast.com. You'll see our email address or telephone number at the bottom of the website. I want to know more. This is certainly a shocking discovery for me that you have an alien species outside your back door in freezing temperatures.
We'll have to bring you back down to West Virginia so we can take you to Burnsville Lake. We have them in Burnsville Lake here.
You do?
Yes.
Is this like a seasonal thing?
I know when we go crappie fishing out on Burnsville Lake, we see them out there during that time. So late fall, October, November-ish, I see them, but that would have been the last time I was there.
Now, for those who are listening and are worried that they're going to go take their kids to a lake and get their kids stung by jellyfish, these jellyfish do not harm people, so don't be worried about them. They're completely harmless. In fact, they're not even listed as a hard invasive species on the Minnesota DNR website due to the fact they really don't affect anything in the water. They're not seeing things eat on them, and they're not seeing them taking over any ecology in the water. So not a lot's known about them because they're not creating a problem.
You know what we should do? Cross them with Portuguese man of wars.
See, then you create a problem.
And
an excellent sci-fi movie.
Oh, this would be perfect. Like Jellyfish of the Lake, like off the Sci-Fi Channel. Like we could have Jellyfish NATO.
Yeah, that sounds just as scary as Sharknado. Absolutely, that's
I'm claiming that one.
It's right up there with Anaconda and all these other great movies that we see late at night.
See, they're gonna get mistaken for Jimmy's catheter.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, what else? Where else do you find all these weird stuff? But in Minnesota and West Virginia.
Ain't that the truth? So, do you guys get any updates before we continue?
No, I'm just sitting down here in Studio B by myself with your wife's underwear on my head because there's nobody here to stop me. It's kind of fun.
As well you should. I mean, I do the same thing if it was your house.
Yes. Yeah, but your wife's underwear is not in my house, so,
Oh, so here's one thing. So when you were gone, and we were going to talk to the listeners last week. When you were gone, you went on a trip, Monsters of Rock cruise. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yes, that's the one I go on, the Monsters of Rock cruise. We're actually going to sign up for the next one here on the 25th. So
you were gone, and you had your son watch your house.
Yes.
So I contacted your son immediately as soon as you left.
I know you
did. And it was wonderful. Because you're like, how can we prank Jimmy when he's gone? So we collected a glass. You know what? This is a fun podcast. We collected a glass dildo and we put it in your tank. And how long did it take for you and your wife to find it?
My wife noticed it in 27 seconds. She didn't put down her suitcase and she went, "What in the hell's in my aquarium?" And here's the good news. Her little discus died and she blamed you.
Oh no!
Oh, you killed her fish.
Yeah.
I washed that thing vigorously, trust me.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I don't want to know where you washed it or where you put it in to wash it. But yeah, one of her little discus died, and she goes, "Robbie's nuts are mine." So
all right, I'll have to buy her another discus then.
So you might want to dodge the bullet when you come to my house and just duck in case a frying pan comes flying across.
Should I kick him in the nuts?
Yeah,
that might be a better idea.
Yeah.
No. This podcast leans one direction, and that she's going to punch me in the throat.
It's probably the first time that I have to pick you up off the floor after my wife knocks you out. So
Right.
So yeah.
But no,
so you're gone. You're out of the state.
Out of the state.
God, what's happening at your house? I can't imagine what's happening at your house. Right now, I'm at your house. I'm all by myself. I haven't even seen the cat yet. So I don't know. Where's the cat?
Clearly, you ate it. That's what happened.
Yeah. So next week we can all talk about what happened at Robbie's house, and that will be fun for me anyway. Jimmy gets payback. You know what? I've had a lot of suggestions from people because I've talked to other people. There's a lot of mean freaking people in this world. I'll tell you that much. My goodness, they've gave me some great ideas, and so I want to thank everybody who's given me ideas what to do to Robbie's house and stuff. But I don't think burning it to the ground, will satisfy me. So I got something else planned, and it's gonna be kind of fun for all of us.
Lovely. So just to continue the joke, we posted the picture of this, while you were gone on Discord because we realized that you forgot your password on Discord.
Yeah, I was on.
So we
Discord.
shared it with
I was on Discord today. Yeah, I saw stuff.
Yeah, we shared it with everybody on Discord, so they followed along. And when we got Justin's main tank in his basement done, we're like, you know what? We're going to get one. So we got the exact same one, and now it's in his aquarium as well. So we now christen new tanks with dildos. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You started the trend.
That is wonderful. And you'll get a cease and assist here shortly because, you can't be stealing.
Do not get discus.
Yeah. Don't put discus in there. And if you do, just throw them on the floor. Don't even put them in the tank. Just kill them right away. Put them out of their misery. Because apparently this discus came around the plant and saw this large thing sticking out of the gravel, and he went, "Oh, I can't take that," and died.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to the first question then. So the first question that we have is done on our Facebook page. It's Aquarium Guys Podcast. We have a group, but someone messaged us individually, started asking questions. Are there any market for clown loaches? And I'm looking to breed them for money. So I said, absolutely. Clown loaches fetch a decent price. But I did warn him that clown loaches are one of the slowest growing fish. So if he wants to do that, you're not going to make a whole lot of profit, at least not fast. Clown loaches are expensive on purpose because they take so long to grow.
And the problem with clown loaches is that in order to get them to size, you're going to pay a considerable amount of money to get breeders. And
absolutely.
And down in Forest Lake, what did we see? We saw 8-9-inch clown loaches, and they're asking $139 for them.
And you certainly can wholesale large clown loaches. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's $139 for a clown loach. It's going to take that special person to buy it.
You got to make sure it doesn't get ick.
Right, and another scaleless fish. Every time you move them, they get upset. They get ick. You got to keep them warm. You got to keep them hidden PVC pipe. When I bring them in, I bring in 90 to 150 of them at a crack. The thing to do with clown loaches, if you're going to buy a bunch, try to breed them, you definitely want to put them in the tank, put a bunch of 6-inch pieces of PVC pipe in there. They'll go in there and hide, leave the light off in the tank for the first couple of days and feed them frozen bloodworms and really watch for ick. I can't stress that enough. So you definitely can buy, the 1.5 to 2-inch clown loaches for, $6-8 a piece at your local pet store and stuff, but you're going to spend a lot of time raising them up to get them to breedable size. So that's a particular fish where I would probably buy adults breedable size, and I'm not sure exactly what size they'll start breeding, but I would buy that size rather than waste a year or two to try to get them that size to breed.
I want to say they start at like 6 inches.
Do they? Yeah.
For some reason that popped in my head.
And in all my years, I've never talked to anybody that's bred clown loaches. So if somebody out there has bred clown loaches, give us a holler and let us know how to do it and see if it was successful or not for you. And I don't even have any idea how many eggs they lay. So it'd be interesting to find out.
Are they a scatter like coolies? Because I've bred coolies once before.
Yeah, I've had coolies breed a couple of times in my tank, but have no idea how they did it. So
we just suddenly saw coolies.
Yep, baby coolies.
Well, you don't really see coolie loaches; they just disappear in your tank.
Right.
Well, you saw remnants of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So after I answered the question on Facebook, they just wanted to let us know that, guys, you're awesome. Love the enthusiasm for the hobby. I've been in the hobby for 30 years. Listen to the podcast, all the podcasts a couple times now. And after listening to you guys, my interest for the hobby keeps just growing stronger. He said, F. Schmelta and Betty White is hot.
Hey, your mom is on board with us finally. Thank goodness. I love your mom.
So thank you, Jameson. I think I'm saying that correctly, from Facebook. Now, more questions, right?
What else you got, Robbz?
I have emails. Let's go to the emails next, right? My wife has recently was given a 120-gallon tank setup from her work. I've always loved fish and would like to keep them. I look more into them, keep finding people that are saying they'll just randomly die if you don't get them. And here he's referring to Electric Blue Jack Dempsey. That's the title of the email. Says, do you guys have any experience with this fish or know if the rumors are true? I have had friends that kept them with no problems whatsoever. What would you recommend? Jimmy, what's your experience with Electric Blue Jack Dempsey to warn him about?
Well, right now I have Electric Blue Jack Dempseys that I special ordered for a customer. And when I told him the price, he went, well, I don't want them. First of all, they're expensive. Even at wholesale on sale, $7 for an 1.25 inch fish. They're beautiful, but to get them to grow to saleable size, once again, takes a little bit of time. But I think you can have some success with Electric Blue Jack Dempseys if you put them in there. From what I'm finding out is that the rams really kind of like a little bit of a current, because in my acrylic system, I've been putting rams in the last 2 months, and I've been having pretty good success compared to what I had with in aquariums. So I don't know what the deal is, but some fish love the current, some don't. I've failed miserably with angelfish. They didn't like the current much. The discus, which I bring in and put in my acrylic unit, 4-inch, 5-inch, they seem to do well in the current. So I would definitely give it a try. Electric Blue Jack Dempseys are wonderful fish. There's Electric Blue Acaras out there. There's all kinds of the Electric Blue Rams, and they are vibrant in color, and I think you'd probably have a beautiful tank if you can get them in, keep them going for the first 30 days, get them eating, and what I would try to do is probably put a little bit of erythromycin in frozen bloodworms. What I found out when I was down in Florida, if you take the medicines that you would normally treat a fish and you could you take a small Betta cup, you put 2 or 3 cubes of bloodworms and melt them down, and then put the powdered stuff, whatever you're treating with, erythromycin or meltic acid, you put it right into the bloodworms, and the bloodworms kind of suck it right up. And what happens is when you feed that bloodworms, they ingest that medicine, and it's 90% more effective when they ingest it compared to when you just throw it in the water. So
what you're saying is you're hiding pills in the cheese with your fish.
Basically, that's all I get.
For your dog.
That's kind of how your wife gets you to take your medicine. So yeah,
absolutely. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be here. All right, next question I have from Philip. This one's I'll try to make this as short as possible. First, I love your show. Something new every show. Awesome. Please keep it up. Amazing knowledge. Next, I have a community tank with some fish. There are, and he puts a list here, but to be honest, I called him after this. He added a telephone number, and it's a massive community that he has in this tank. He's certainly overdone it. He has 3 butterfly koi. He's got angelfish. It looks like a pair in there. He's got some big bala sharks. He has a fire eel, cories, and the stuff that he didn't mention that I'm seeing because he sent me a full picture. He's got parrot cichlids, goldfish, a bunch of fantail goldfish, mixed ones, barbs. It's just a full tank.
Wow.
So I went through the whole list, and he mentioned the question was, I want to get some more fish. What's your opinion on getting maybe 3 more angels, some roseline shark, clown loaches, and my son really wants a crate. So I called him up, and he's really enthusiastic aquarist. He actually has some help there. He has a local guy that comes cleans his tank, and apparently the local guy that comes cleans his tank has to do it often because it's a very full. So I told him that the main problem with it is you're putting, number one, those koi will not live. They'll stunt in your tank. They're not going to grow in your tank.
The goldfish too.
Immediately get the koi out. The goldfish or fantail, they could be in there, but are really the bio load on that alone is going to just skyrocket the tank. So get rid of the goldfish and koi. And after you do that, you'll have some room, but you have to, be careful what you have. You have long fin fish in there, so no crayfish if you're going to have angels.
Well, the fire eel will eat the crayfish.
Right. And I mentioned that this whole thing, once his fire eel gets a little bit bigger, it just has to do with size. He'll start eating his fish one by one. It's like, oh no, he's being good. I'm like, yep, but they're going to get twice the size that you're already at. So he agreed and called me up after, or let me know after this, that he is getting rid of the koi, the goldfish, and the eel. And to replace it, he's going to get roseline sharks and clown loaches. So it'll be a nice community tank. I think the most aggressive thing we'll have in there is the parrotfish. So we helped him out with some advice, but just, take note on this. This was one of our listeners. If you got koi can grow over a foot a year in perfect conditions. People are like, oh, I'll have koi in there until, part of the time, maybe a couple years before I'll put them in a pond. You're going to stunt the koi. It's not great to keep them in anything long term. If you're going to get a koi, get a pond. That's my advice there.
The other thing that I really like what you said, Robbz, is the bio load. And Adam, I think you can agree with me on this. I would say a koi that's maybe 5 or 6 inches probably puts out enough poop where you could have 40 or 50 neons in there and
easy,
and drop the same amount of bio load. So I mean, people love all the different kinds of fish and stuff, and I tell you what, kudos for trying to do it and having success. I mean, obviously he's having success, but to try to avoid problems down the road, I definitely would go with something like Rob said, and getting rid of the goldfish and whatnot. What do you have, Adam?
Well, I would have, if he likes his big fish, he could have maybe got like a cattle tank and done the goldfish in there with, for some other stuff, like I always stick cold water with cold water. I never stick warm water fish with cold water fish. But yeah, the bio load was going to be, just for the goldfish, was too much.
Right.
And it's not just temperature by doing that. Most of these cold water fish, like koi and goldfish, they're carp. So number one, they're going to mouth everything. That's how they interact, interact with their world. And angelfish aren't going to really appreciate, a fish swimming up to them
Being
just mouthing them off. So it will work. It's not the best environment. And then you have the thing of temperature. Goldfish do better at a 60-degree temp than they would at 80.
I really think that the answer here is buy another tank.
Yeah.
I just encourage people, if you're going to have a cold water tank, have a heated tank, have a brackish tank, have lots of tanks. Kind of like what Justin's doing over where you guys are at and stuff. If you want to have a nice variety, put in multiple tanks. They're not that expensive once you pay attention to where you can get them, or watch for the buck a gallon sale at the local Petcos and whatnot. So right. Yeah, definitely.
Check Craigslist for big tanks.
Yeah. And like Adam said, a cattle trough, up here in Minnesota, 4th of July, maybe August, the ice will go off my pond, and we're going to put some koi out there, and we'll probably have to put mittens on them and little earmuffs and stuff. But I'm looking forward to the spring, because it's the first time I've had a pond out in my yard in my 55 years of life. So I'm excited about it.
And note that when you have these indoor, when I say that goldfish and koi have no stomachs, it's just all intestines. So they can eat every hour on the hour, continually, nonstop, and just push it out. They are literally pooping machines.
Yeah, if you want some great information, I'm not sure what episode it is, but we had one of our friends with the koi farm, and
I think 5.
Was it number
Greg
5?
Bickle.
And
Greg Bickle.
He gave us just an incredible amount of great information. So I invite you to go back there, revisit that, listen to Greg talk about it and stuff. Go out there and set up an additional tank. So you have my permission to go out and buy another tank. Don't ask your wife, your girlfriend, or your roommate. Just do it.
Yeah.
And if they question you, just listen to this podcast. That's all you got to tell them.
That's right. Time. Sometimes it's better to get, get permission rather? No.
Ask for forgiveness than permission. That's how
there we go.
That's how I get a lot of things.
Yeah,
that's why Adam's on the podcast right now.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget, how big do fire eels get again? Aren't they in the 2 to 3 foot, or are they 4 foot range?
I've seen 12 to 16 inches on them in aquariums.
So they're 2 foot range.
Yeah, I would imagine they get huge. They are ferocious eaters, man. I did it at Adam one time. I had a pretty good sized fire eel somebody gave me. Kind of forgot that it was in there. Threw in a bunch of neons. Came back the next day and went, "Where are my neons?" And he was very happy.
Yeah, because they're nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
Fire eels get 40 inches.
40 inches. What? So they get over 3 feet. I thought they got in that 4 foot range.
I'm glad the thing didn't grab me and drag me in the tank and make me its roommate.
Yeah, that's what's been reported from big ones, but normally you'll get a 32, 30 max.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of thought they were big, and I never liked selling them because they got so damn big, and people couldn't, they didn't realize it. They always see the little cute 6-inch babies, and they're like, "Oh, look at how cute they are!" Yeah, they're looking at you. Yeah, they get huge.
Yeah, they are cute.
And they eat everything.
So there again, that'd be another animal that probably ends up at Big Rich's Ohio Fish Rescue. What else you got?
Let's go down and get some Discord questions. Discord is our chat client, what we use for our entire group. So let me read some questions here that they've gathered. And if you'd like to join Discord, go to aquariumguyspodcast.com. On the bottom of the website, you'll find the Discord link. You can join us. It's easy to use on your phone. And you get instant results with these questions. It's not just us answering. There's also a bunch of other community experts that help out, and it's a real fantastic community we have here. So first question is, what equipment for the basics are needed to start a fish tank minimum? So I think that this question is geared towards what is the easiest way I can start a tank. And we have a podcast planned for this in the future. We're going to have it called the Ghetto Aquarium. But without doing things ghetto and you're willing to spend a little bit of money, I think the best way to start something pretty besides goldfish, because clearly that can get too big too fast, is white clouds. I got a bunch of white clouds from you, Jimmy, and they came in small, but now they're nice and big. They don't need a heater. So all you would have is a sponge filter with an aerator that would generate the cycle for you. No heater whatsoever, and you can have natural lighting if you have something to do, or just get a desk lamp to hold over an aquarium you can purchase at your local Walmart. They still have aquariums.
Yeah, local Walmart has those nice little desk lamps for $6-7 in September when school starts. They have all these cute little lights that you could use for aquariums for next to nothing, to be honest with you. And that works fantastic. The thing with the white cloud is also that the ones that Rob got are just regular basic white clouds, but now they have gold white clouds. They have longfin white clouds. They have
white clouds that climb on rocks.
Yep, exactly.
What?
Sorry, that's a commercial for old people.
Yeah.
Oh.
You guys are flipping me off.
So the list would be, you can get yourself maybe a 5-10 gallon aquarium. So tank, right?
Yep.
Sponge filter, air pump, desk lamp. There's your whole kit. So that's for
like
the
$50.
absolute basic tank right there. Done deal. And white clouds don't need heat because they're, part of the carp family.
Yeah, and they're extinct in the wild. I'm pretty sure.
What?
No, I'm pretty
Excellent.
sure that they dammed the river that they lived in China, because they live in China. They're from China, in the mountains, like off Tibet, I think. And I'm pretty sure that I read they were extinct in the wild.
That is pretty sad information if that's true. I'm not going to fact check you. I'm just going to go through more questions. So some of these questions we have in the list here are specific to an individual.
Oh, yay.
Right? We have actually the most questions for Jimmy, but we have one for Adam here. So Adam, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
4.
That question was for me, by the way.
I'm going to check that off. That's been officially answered. Here we go. All right. The next question is, how much was the fish that got eaten? This question's for Robbz.
Yeah.
It's exactly this much. All right. Next question.
No.
No.
Back up the truck, nutsack.
All right.
We've been trying to get. I know how much it is, and I'm going to tell people if you don't admit.
Stop it. all
Give us a
And
range.
Answer that phone, someone.
Yeah, hang on one sec.
Oh my lord.
All right. While he answers the phone. So the fish that got eaten was a South American black arowana. So South American black arowanas in the last couple years have been becoming more and more common to see. Before, you never saw them. They just didn't happen. And if you heard of one, it was somebody that was on an Amazon trip, harvested their own, sent it back somehow illegally through customs. And it's not like they're an Asian arowana. They're a legal species. It's just no one had them. So I had a favor with someone at the time, and I purchased them outright, and they were way ridiculous at a price. Now, wholesale, they go for I even had people on Discord say that they see them for like $650. It was much more than that back then. So that's all you're getting from me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all we're getting from you, Robbz.
All they're getting.
I think
from
we
me.
should play that game like The Price is Right, where we're going, higher, 400, higher, 500,
No.
higher. All I know
All right.
is when Robb's fish died, he cried, and I can attest.
I did.
I can attest to that.
did cry.
I will say that.
Yep, I hard cried. All right, next question. I'm a new fish keeper and have amassed generations of guppies. How would I go about selling them, and what are the general options and for making profit? So, Jimmy, Adam, you want to answer this?
You're probably not.
What?
Not unless you have
Get out.
not unless you have like a specific strain and it looks pretty, stuff like that. Guppies are cheap, and most pet stores aren't going to pay you for guppies. They'll give you like in-store credit for fish food, or, just that's what most of them will do, is just in-store credit. Guppies are a cheaper fish that don't get a lot of respect. Now, if you go buying like an $80 pair of fish off Aquabit or something, you can resell the babies, but that's, I don't know. It's that they don't get the respect they deserve. So you're probably not going to make a lot of profit on it.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I agree with Adam to a point where unless you've got something that is better or bigger tailed than what they have, but there again, if you put a sign on there saying, locally raised guppies and they look great, you can demand a higher price than your Sri Lanka guppies easily.
Well, yeah.
But it's got to be a quality product. You can't just be making what's the word I'm looking for? You know, you can't be making Endler guppies. You know, feeder guppies. You can't be selling.
Endlers.
Yeah, you can't be selling Endler guppies. It's just frankly a disgrace to the market, and no one's going to buy them, really.
Right. But
yeah, that's why Robbz is selling the damn things.
Yeah, I just find dim people on feeder fish. I'm like, all right, $30.
$30 a fish.
All right, moving on.
I actually have a. I have a something to confess here. I just had a customer locally here that called me, got my number from somebody, said, I'm looking for Endler guppies. And seriously, I thought I was being punked by Robbie and Adam. And I was kind of a dickwad to her because I thought, oh, this is...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I thought, well, this is one of Tanas's friends, and they set him up, and you know what? Met the gal, sold them to her. She was excited. We got her some Tigers Endlers in, just a couple of pair, and she goes,
Those are garbage Endlers.
You purist.
Oh man, yeah, I paid quite a premium price for them too, by the way, knucklehead. But she was excited and ordered more, so don't tell her they're crap, okay?
Right.
Okay, she'd probably crap if you showed her mine Endlers.
Yeah, how many you got left?
I don't know. I got like a 55-gallon tank full.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you should send us some up again.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind looking at feeder fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
To answer the question, though, if you don't have a quality product and you can't sell online because that's really the outlet you something a bit, you can go to a pet store and they'll still buy guppies, but you're not going to get like the same retail prices. You have to understand that they're purchasing them for a hella cheap price. They're buying guppies in, generally if it's a good sized pet store, by the thousand. Guppies are really popular. They have to keep them in stock, so they're getting these things at quarter. So if you're gonna be going there saying, hey, I'll bring you bags of fresh, completely locally bred, healthy, good looking guppies, and I take a quarter a piece for them, they'll be all over it. Like, yeah, I'll do that with you. Bring them in whenever, and you can establish that type of market with a pet store. But if you have something quality, they're willing to pay for it. But if it's not quality, just lower your expectations.
Right. Yeah, if you can go with a particular color that nobody else has, there are some extremely cool guppies out there now. I had some koi guppies that I got one time. I've been trying to order them for over the last 2 years. They were $9 wholesale a piece, and they were flippin' gorgeous. Came in, didn't do well, crashed on me, lost them. And I've been trying to get them replaced ever since. And people are asking them for them, but obviously the person that breeds them is also having trouble getting them to ship and live, I guess is probably the way I should say it.
So is that strain how would you say, like so bred, so fine that it needs such specific conditions that it just doesn't ship well at all?
I totally agree with you, Adam. I'm thinking that's where you hit it right on the head there. And these guppies were not huge by any means, or they're kind of, I want to say, like a miniature guppy, this particular strain that I got. I know there's some bigger ones out there. If you want to see some beautiful guppies that are demanding really big prices, check out Aquabid in the guppy section. I think Rob said earlier, $30 to $80 for a trio usually being a male and 2 females, and usually being real young fish from 3 months to 4 or 5 months old. So you got to grow them up a little bit. There again, guppies will have 25 to 45 babies religiously and stuff, and then after you cull, you're going to only have 20 to sell. You'll lose a few. So, yeah, guppies are a wonderful thing if you can raise a quality product.
Righto. So next questions is what mixes well with what? And, I think one of our first podcasts, we said that we're going to get out a compatibility chart, and we never did. So I'm going to put out a statement that, darn it, Jimmy's going to punch me in the throat if I don't get that out that pretty soon here.
Yeah,
but there are compatibility charts. You can go on Google. You can search fish compatibility charts. And a lot of these have been dealt with a lot of research. They are best guesses because every fish is different. You can have a goldfish that'll start picking out an Oscar. It's just probability behavior from what they do in nature, what they've been seen doing, and practice from aquarists. So nothing's perfect. Clearly, the other gentleman that we were just answering a question with had goldfish with eels, and that worked out. But for how long? So do your homework is the best way. But if you're really, you've never tried it before, keep it alone if you can. If you can't, use a compatibility chart.
And then also get yourself a tank, an extra tank. So when you do have a bully, you can take them out and give them a timeout. That way we don't... want to kill any fish. Is what I'm getting at. A lot of people
You can also use those hang on the side baskets,
right,
just for a quick timeout.
You know, I've had a school of tiger barbs where just one was a complete and utter jerk, and it's a male. And he just starts hammering on everybody because he's trying to keep his little harem together, keep everybody away and stuff. So you definitely, there's a jerk in every crowd, and we know that. And so I've had angelfish that have been mean as heck. I've had Oscars that are sweet as pie. You never know. So you just want to take a step back and look at the personality of that particular fish. And just because it says it's a nice fish doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a nice fish.
Well, Debbie, you were telling me that you have axolotls and you didn't want one because you've had issues in the passive aggression.
Yep.
Just think. You can have a timeout corner, a little basket, bad axolotl, and put it in there for a while.
You know, it's our job here at the podcast is to just give you reasons to buy more tanks. And there's another good reason to buy another tank.
That is another good reason.
And we don't even have a tank sponsor yet. Everything in time. All right. Well, what are the best plants for beginners? I'm going to take this one, hornwort. I can't get it to stop growing. Maybe guppy grass as a hard second.
Duckweed.
Duckweed.
There you go.
Duckweed. Yeah, that's easy enough. Next question.
Anacris.
What's the best way to fill my tank and monitor the chemical levels? I think that is a loaded question. If it's saltwater, you're going to want to use some sort of like an Apex system is probably the best in the market to monitor your micronutrients. Otherwise, within an aquarium tank, there are things that we just talked about with the Raspberry Pi you can do, but get yourself a API water test kit. Get good at it.
Yep, and the thing is, if it's out of your price range, a water change every week does wonders.
Right, and don't spill beer in it like Jimmy does.
I don't drink beer near my tanks.
Maybe near Robbz tanks.
Yeah,
there you go. You are right now.
Right now, I'm doing that. Yeah.
All right, why the F don't fish stores tell you that iridescent sharks are actually catfish?
Because the shark name is cooler. Do you honestly think you could sell something that said iridescent catfish? No.
No. Think about it. Because iridescent catfish, like you could put, ugly ass googly eye catfish. Yeah, iridescent shark does sound better.
Yeah.
And right back to
marketing. There you go.
One of our podcasts we did with our friends over there with the Reef Aquarium. Those guys are naming the corals just these crazy names like the Home Wrecker because they cost.
Yeah, that one was funny.
And like he said, they come up with these great names because they are very cool. When people look at it, they go, "Oh, check that out! Oh, that's why it's called the Home Wrecker. It's $600."
Oh no! I think it was more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hearing
it was like $1,500
for a piece of it that wasn't even a frag.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was like the size of your fingernail.
That would be called the Nutcracker at my house.
It's not Christmas yet.
Not yet. Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right, here's one. Now, we have on our Discord a bunch of different characters. We're certainly blessed by having skilled individuals, new individuals, and one of them, one of my favorite people on Discord, Myrtlewood, is our resident troll. And when I say this, he cracks a lot of jokes. It keeps it fun in Discord. And he wants to know, what's the airspeed velocity of an unladen, and it shows here with a cross out of it, swallow, and instead he wrote hatchetfish. So I'm assuming this is some sort of joke. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is the normal sentence, but he's asking what's the airspeed velocity of an unladen hatchetfish.
45 miles an hour.
That's what I was going to say. Don't they like fly out of the water pretty fast?
Yeah.
So I looked this up, and apparently there was a big guy that it in the 90s, doing a bunch of research on the hatchetfish because it's such a weird fish. Its mouth is up at the top. It's got these side fins that work like wings. And unless you have your tank lid duct taped, they're going to fly out. So these things fly many feet. And according to some of his slow capture frameworks, these things go around 30 miles an hour.
No way.
Yeah, now, I can see that.
Do they swim 30 miles an hour under the water? Probably not. But when they launch out of the water, they're catching just airspeed and hovering and who knows what. So that's my best guess. That's not an actual answer, but weird one.
So funny story about hatchetfish. I have found them in my store. So Jim, you remember how my store was set up, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I have found them almost, where the saltwater was in the back corner?
Yep.
And the freshwater fish were in that second row when you walk in, not the first row, but the second row.
Yep.
I found them on the saltwater wall stuck and dried before.
And how many feet is that? That's got to be...
Oh, it's like 25, 30 feet.
I was going to say 15, 20 feet. Yeah, minimum.
Yeah, and they went from that, and they've flown across the store through the air and stuck to the wall and just can't get off the wall.
Yeah, because they're flat. They're like a suction cup when they hit the wall. I've had everybody's familiar with the marble hatchet. My personal favorite is the silver hatchet, which is usually a little bit bigger fish, a little more hardy fish, as far as I'm concerned. And I would find them 6 tanks over from where I put them, because I didn't, put the lid on tight or whatever. 6 tanks over, which would probably be about 6-7 feet in my warehouse, and go, how in the hell they get over here is beyond me. But then you'd find his friends on the floor too. So
yeah,
sometimes they're not very accurate where they jump.
Well, they just don't jump in the frying pan.
Oh, that'd be delicious.
Next question is, my fish are acting weird and different. What are some things I should check before assuming the worst?
Oh, well, I would check their gills, because if their gills are bright red, there's obviously there's decreased oxygen in the water.
They're acting you said differently?
Yeah, and it doesn't say it's acting weird and different. So number one, I think the thing is to start off with is, what's the temperature? If they're cold or hot, even by a small minimum temperature, almost all fish act different. Even cold water fish are going to act different in 50 degrees and 60. So did the temperature change? Did your heater unplug? Would be the number one thing I would go to.
Are they lying on the bottom because, they are being electrocuted by their...
Stray electricity.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, are they on the top of the water gasping? Did you forget to plug in your aerator? Did
airstone get clogged?
Right.
Yep.
Did your airstone get clogged? Is your filter not working? What's going on there? Are they wiggling weird? Maybe they're in labor and there's a live bear and they're on the bottom trying to give birth and you're just being a creeper staring at them.
Do they have ick?
Do they look like you rolled them in salt and pepper?
Right. I raise a lot of angelfish, and I could tell when my angelfish weren't doing well, because then normally you'd go up to the tank and they'd greet you and you'd feed them. They eat like pigs. But you could walk by one tank and when angelfish get sick, and I cannot tell you why, they will turn their back to you and kind of go to the back of the tank and with their back tail to you and not pay any attention to you. And if you walk by a tank of angelfish and they are acting like that, there's something wrong. They're going to come down with a disease, or they already have a disease. And so the first thing I would do is check for disease. I would check for electricity, air stones, temperature. There's so many things that you can check, but I tell you, the longer you're in the business, the quicker it is to pick that stuff up.
No, I taught Dabby how to check for electricity because he's making a big fish rack. I have 9 tanks on my fish rack, and I electrocute myself. So what we did in his basement, I'm like, Dabby, take off your socks and shoes. All right, put your finger in there. Make sure you have a nice contact with the cement floor, and then touch your aquarium. Otherwise, you might not get shocked. It seemed to work out. We did electrical training.
Electrical training. It also works great for sterilization. We've been trying to get Adam to do it for years, but he's got 4 kids, and he just keeps on going.
Just keeps on going.
If that's how that works, I need to get home stat.
Yeah. I'll send you 2 cracked heaters. I might have some still.
Okay, great.
Excellent. All right, what is a good nano fish first to get for either a small aquarium or a large school of fish? I'm going to pick
white clouds are always a nice little fish tank, little fish. I like the white clouds.
There are so many.
I was going to say,
we just got to pick one.
Amber tetras.
There you go.
Amber
tetras.
Amber
tetras. I'm going to pick rummy nose.
Rummy nose.
Project Paiba.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Cardinals.
Beautiful fish.
Oh, you got to pick something different. So we each get one here. Come on now. Don't say antlers. I'll stab you.
Antlers.
Betty White.
Yeah, I would go with a Serpe tetra.
There you go. See, there's so many. You just start going down the tetra line. There's boro line. It's a collection. Now, if you do want them to school, try to stick to one species. Normally, intercrossing species won't give you a school. So just like mine, I have 100 rummy nose in my tank. They school nicely.
I've got a question. I get to ask a question. I've heard talk of in the last 2 weeks about toucan
tetras.
I've been doing this for freaking 30 years. I've never seen them. What are they?
They're brand new.
They're not necessarily brand new. They're pretty recent.
Are they renamed? Something that they renamed to make it sound cool?
They found batches in like the 60s, but they just never hit the aquarium trade. So now that they're trying to research, what could be farmed, what's a sustainable, good-looking fish, these definitely, I don't know why they haven't been picked up before, but they're certainly there.
Yeah, I see them on my list now. I've never seen them on the list up until the last month or two, and I'm assuming they look like it must be brightly colored.
I think you just got confused because you always look in your cereal cabinet and you see that toucan on the box, and you just eat those.
Those are delicious.
They look like, actually, Jim, you know what they look like?
What?
They look like a penguin tetra, to be quite honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, except instead of for a penguin tetra, they got a little bit of gold right over their eye and like quarter over their body right after their gills.
That is way cool. I forget about the penguin tetra. I haven't sold penguin tetras in years. I had a couple of customers that just loved them. You know, just the way the black stripe goes on them, their tail looks almost like a hockey stick. And that's another great thing to have that most people do not have in their tanks. If you get hold of some penguin tetras, they're a wonderful fish to have in your tanks.
I also call them hockey stick tetras.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the more interesting, I'm going to skip this joint question, interesting nano, I can't skip it, frittata rainbows. Look them up.
Yeah.
They play, they have weird fins, they dip, dive, and duck. They're probably one of the most active, fun nano fish besides, schooling white clouds. For speed purposes, do some fish actually get unhappy when their friend dies? For example, I have 2 juvenile Basami rainbows. One died unexpectedly. Just wondering if I should get another rainbow or if he'll be all right.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
There are a whole line of people, and they're not fish people, that believe that these animals do not carry emotion. And that is frankly wrong. It's just like we talked with Scott, we can measure stress in a fish biologically. So why in the world couldn't we measure stress if a friend dies? And they frankly do. I've had a pair of Basami rainbows. The male passed away, and I had to get another one because it just sat in the corner alone. Once I put another one in there, it was 2 days, and they were schooling. It was out of the corner. Got color again. They frankly do. And certainly you can message Scott from the New England Aquarium. I think we have contact with him on Discord, and he was doing a lot of research on testing for stress. And there should be ways you can do it in your own aquarium, but they do. They have.
Well, aren't they basically a schooling fish like Bosmanis? Don't they need company?
They are, yes.
So I mean, anything like okay. Here's a nice easy way to do it. Most like big ass cichlids. That's a duck. Anyways, big cichlids, for the most part, you get a pair. Like at Oscars, you get one because Oscars don't care. The bigger cichlids, they don't really care. A lot of these bigger cichlids have to form pair bonds, and that's a whole nother thing. So you got to get like 6 or 8 frontosas. I'm just trying to remember
who started off the aquarium, with it's got one neon tetra. How the world did that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to die.
Probably not well, but if you get one African butterfly, they're a cork in the corner of the tank, and they don't care.
Yeah, but
a dwarf,
that's what I mean.
A dwarf gourami, they're happy to be alone.
Yeah, but it's dependent on the fish. I mean, each fish is different, so you need to research your fish and go, okay, if you were to go to my store when I had it and be like, I just want one neon tetra, I'd call you a dummy, and I'd say,
go buy somewhere else.
Yeah, go there. They have to have friends, so each fish is different. And you have to treat each fish differently. Like some people like to be in a corner like Robbz, and some people don't.
It's my meditation corner, all right, man? All right, next question. If parameters are consistent, ammonia 0, nitrite 0, nitrate 0.5 in a planted tank, when in the world should I do water changes since my nitrates aren't changing to dangerous levels? And you, sir, are the perfect candidate for not ever changing your water. If you're testing your water and it's continually the same, you have successfully made a perfect ratio of fish to plants, and your tank is able to cycle without a water change. Now, that being said, I still recommend doing it every so often, every blue moon, because the micronutrients in your water do not replenish, such as calcium. You're not going to get that back in the water. So you would have to add supplements. That's really your only risk in those situations. But there are many people that advocate not having to change the water. In my own tank, I have a 125 gallon tall tank with a large community. I've told you about my rummy nose tetras, and I didn't do a water change in that for 9 months. That's a long time. I don't recommend doing that. It was more of my research. I probably, in that tank, because it was so heavily planted, do one every 4 months just for calcium.
I went 6 on my guppy tank. It's heavily planted. I shouldn't have, but I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you need to look out for, especially if they're breeding. Baby fish need calcium to grow, but otherwise, you've done it. Congratulations, your planted tank is successful. All right, Jim, there's a question for you, buddy.
What's that?
For Jim, if you want to lose $8,000 but don't like guppies, what other fish should I try?
I would go out and immediately buy 80 zebra plecos.
Okay.
Immediately. They're only $110, $130 a piece, but if you buy 80, maybe they'll get them down to $100 for you.
Yeah,
and I would immediately throw them in one tank, turn off the light, and just walk away.
And just to start the cycle, pee in the tank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to lose money. I definitely am the king of losing money. I will Guarantee you that. But yeah, Robbz called me up here, I don't know, a month ago and said, hey, we should go out and buy some zebra plecos. And what was my answer? Thank you, no.
Why? Zebra plecos aren't that hard.
Well,
actually, I thought you hung up on me for a second.
Yeah, no, they're not that hard, but when you go out and consider, I mean, they only have 3, 5, 7 babies at a crack. Then you have to get them up to sizable sale to sell them. It's a lot of work for a few, but there's people that are very successful in doing it and stuff. And like our friend Steve Rubicki from Angels Plus, he would rather sell you one fish at $200 than sell you 100 fish at $1 any day of the week. So, I mean, a lot of people, if you've got the time and the effort and you want to raise something really cool, zebra plecos are much fun, but I would not put anything in with zebra plecos. I've had 2.5-inch zebra plecos with some guppies, and the guppies start picking on them for some reason. So I would only do zebra plecos.
So here's the fun fact: Jimmy's pleco cursed. Jimmy has not been able to get plecos breeding for him ever.
No, I've had just sporadic success, and most of it was over in my warehouse where I had different water parameters. And yet Robbie's around the block for
money
me.
and time
And
trying to breed bristlenose.
Oh yeah, I've spent a ton of money. Last week I bought in some red bristlenose plecos just because I wanted to lose some more money. So right now I've got red bristlenose plecos, and hopefully they're still alive when Robbie gets back so I can show them.
And maybe steal them from you so I can breed them.
No, not going to happen.
You're just going to go, ha ha ha, neater.
Yeah, no, I'm going to kill them myself. So.
All right, planted tank. What is the best steps once you have hair algae and other algae become an issue? How do you deal with the massive hair algae problem?
Oh, you've got that one.
I had that problem worse than anybody. And it was not just regular string hair algae, but blackbeard algae. And I decided, I have two options. I can chemical treat them, or fight with it, that type of mix. Or I can try to find, what species eradicate that stuff. What likes to find it and just mow it down for lunch? So mollies, American flagfish, but bar none, the best species that was most compatible with a large, nano variety aquarium was Siamese algae eaters, true Siamese algae eaters. These things can grow, 3 inches, even 4 sometimes for big females, but they are extremely docile, and they're human lawnmowers. If you have hair algae, blackbeard algae, they will clean every square inch of your tank. I put in 10 in my tank, and they had the entire tank cleaned, mowed, and eradicated. I still see maybe tiny, like 1 or 2 bits of blackbeard algae pop up here and there, but they make it disappear within the day. It's incredible to watch these fish. On top of that, you can also use a mono shrimp. They do a really great job of mowing it as well. But I really rely on those fish and shrimp to take care of that problem for me, and they really, really have. I can help boost the problem with, not boost the problem, help lower the problem with things like fluval products, but the best way, in my opinion, is trying to get those species in your tank. Other than that, you have to use, hydrogen peroxide treatments with a needle, trying to hit every one of them that keep coming. It's like playing whack-a-mole. It's not
laser
fun.
beam.
Tried laser beam after we had that one with Sean. Did not work. Apparently, the laser beam gets eaten. The light gets eaten by the black color on the blackbeard algae. It doesn't work. I killed a snail. I did not kill the blackbeard algae with a laser. But yeah, certainly get yourself some Siamese algae eaters. I got a couple that I just move around in case I see it pop up, and they disappear, and the fish go back to their original tank. It works out really, really well for me. All right, what are some of the tools that you guys use in your tank that you never thought you would ever need?
Turkey baster.
Turkey baster?
Turkey baster.
I concur with that one.
Yeah, I would agree with that one too.
Yeah, I like that too.
And you can use it for a coffee enema later.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
You're saying, Jimmy.
The one thing I used to use a lot, I don't anymore, but the coffee filters, the ones that have a little steel mesh on it, those worked great for hatching brine shrimp and putting them in there, rinsing them off because it's such a fine mesh. So coffee filters is something I never would have thought I would ever use. I'm not talking about the paper coffee filters, but the little plastic ones with the screen inside of it.
All right, next question. Will I ever find love? In Discord, you will. What aquarium fish would you eat? All right, Adam, what would you eat?
Wait, why?
God, we didn't ask why. They just want to know. All right, our audience demands these things. If you had to eat an aquarium fish, which one would you eat?
Probably a stingray.
A stingray. Out of all the fish, that's the one you would eat.
Well, that's going to have the best meat on it.
How about you, Jimmy?
Piranha.
I've heard those are good too.
Piranhas are highly sought after in the Amazon. They hunt them, they fish them, and they eat them. And obviously,
I go Oscar. You know, that's like
Yes,
the Florida sunfish.
Same.
I already eat sunfish in Minnesota. How about you, Debbie?
I would go axolotl.
Axolotl. You want a
Axolotl.
slimy?
Have you seen them deep fried on a sandwich?
Okay, so
You can't even tell what they are unless you see the little map.
We were talking
This
with
is not PETA.
oh no,
Yeah.
we were talking with your wife last night, and she didn't know that there was colors because you guys got a black axolotl.
Yep.
So we're telling her there's purple, pink, green, blue.
Glow in
and
the
she's
dark.
losing her mind. I said, yeah, there's also golden, and I turned my phone towards her and showed her like 2 deep fried axolotls on a stick in China.
Well,
She
okay.
was so disturbed.
They eat
everybody
anything
here on
over
this
there.
podcast is disturbed. If you ask me, I don't know.
We try our best. You were saying, Adam?
They eat everything over there, which is why they have coronavirus. They said that they now think that came from like pangolin and bats.
Oh,
Bat
lovely.
soup. Bat
Yeah,
soup.
pangolins. So I'm kind of rooting for the pangolins on this one.
Lovely. Wow. So the next question is, knowing what fish you like, would you rather have it cooked or raw? I go cooked.
Cooked.
It is Lenten season. I want mine cooked also.
All right. And yours, you said deep
Yeah,
fried.
it's deep fried.
Deep fried with a batter.
Everything is better deep fried.
America.
We're in the South.
America. Diabetes.
All right. So what's an easy to grow plant to propagate and sell? Now, I've had a lot of issues with this. I'd say my favorite would be red Ludwig. It grows at a nice rapid rate with a lot of light, and you can bundle it up real easy to try to sell, either to ship out or maybe a small pet store will take it from you if you grow it live.
I've got customers continuously asking for decent Java moss and guppy grass. And our friends over in West Fargo, North Dakota, get in guppy grass from somewhere down south. She'll get in, 40 or 50 different bags of it, and it's gone in 2 days. So
I think the biggest issue they have with that is how to sell it. And I see that most people online, they'll sell it in like baseball sizes
Yep. It's
or
just all,
softball.
it's just all grouped in a small bag, and most people take like a plastic 1 cup container and just kind of gently put it in there, and that's kind of how much you'll get for your $10.
And if they were talking about how, the easiest way that I've found to do it is to take the steel mesh, like the stainless steel mesh, and wrap it around, take a little bit of fishing string and wrap it around the steel mesh, and it'll propagate right off of that.
Wow. I never thought of that before.
And drop it right down in the tank.
That is a good idea.
All right, Jimmy, how do you tell exactly when a live bear will give birth?
Not
looking at the Gravis spot method, it says in quotations.
Not grab it. Well, I mean, what I normally like to do is I like to view the fish from the top, looking from the top down to see how large of a belly it has on it. We used to raise guppies commercially for a long time. We finally had some success by using 3 different things that I'd been told by people of what to do. And what worked for me, and I'll share this with people, we were raising probably 300 to 500 guppies a day. And what we would do is we had so many guppies that we would raise up our guppies ourselves just to sell. And then the extra guppies we had, we'd sell them as feeder guppies. So what I'd like to do is viewing them from the top is once they look like they've swallowed a small marble, and that's when you want to isolate that female away from everybody else and get them to release their babies. When you put them in those small plastic boxes, which a lot of people love and have success with, a lot of times that will stress them out, and you'll see that they'll just poop out a whole bunch of dead babies. And that's just a really sad thing to see. So stress will not help the guppy at all. What I'd like to do, what we did, is we had 9 300-gallon vats lined up in our warehouse, and I bought those pop-up spring hampers, and we put we put in 3 hampers per 300-gallon tank, and in each hamper we had 75 females and 25 males, so there's 100 fish in there. And what would happen is that you have to keep the tank covered up so it's dark, unfortunately. And what we would do is we'd open it up every morning, and first thing we do is we'd throw food in for the adults in those hampers. But when they're in these hampers, it's wide enough so the babies can swim out. And so all the babies will be right on top, and you would just take a large 10-inch net and just scoop the top. And that was my favorite thing I did in all my years of raising fish, was my favorite thing to do was to go downstairs into my warehouse and collect baby guppies all morning long. I spent 2-3 hours doing it, and I loved it. And so I just
It's
found
pretty
out,
great watching you, Jimmy, do that, because you just point out a big female and like, oh, that one's dummy thick, and then you like that one's gonna release tomorrow.
Yeah.
And poof. Sure thing it did.
Yeah,
So.
just like anything else, if you spend enough time, I mean, we're in a rural community out here. There's a lot of people raising cattle, horses. You'll have a good horse person, a good cattle person say, you know, she's going to go into labor here in the next couple hours just by observing how they're acting. A lot of times a female guppy will go off to a corner of the tank or into the weeds just so she'll be left alone from the other fish and stuff. Where we had success is in these 300-gallon vats. If we did not keep those vats closed up tight from light, then they would eat the babies. Even though the babies could swim, they're stupid. They swim back in to see mom and dad, and they get eaten up. So once we, that was the third piece to my puzzle, is somebody says you got to keep that covered up tight, and then when you open it up, you got to scoop real fast to get them out there. And you always still don't catch them all, but you'll get a good majority of them. Here's another trick that we learned from another person. We would take a 5 by 7 foot piece of styrofoam that you buy at your local Menards or Home Depot, and we would lay that on top of the 300-gallon cattle trough thing, and we would take a small light bulb, kind of like a 2-watt light bulb, like a Christmas light bulb. We would drill a small hole in the styrofoam, and we put the light bulb way away from the adults, which were on the other end of the tank. And for some reason, the babies come to that light. And so when you open up that tank in the morning, just you flip up the 5 by 7 piece of styrofoam and just laying it up against a wall, majority of the babies are all kind of at the end where that light was. And so, like I said, we learned all these tricks from different breeders and stuff, and that's what worked for me. So there's nothing more satisfying than having guppies. I tell you, this is one of my favorite projects I ever did.
So next question. Best type of natural decorations to go in the tank, ones that look natural, add to the aesthetics, and even add to the water quality. Is it driftwood, cholla, plants? What do you guys recommend?
That's personal preference.
Well, I think it's what's the best type of natural decoration that add to water quality?
Oh, driftwood.
I got to go to driftwood as well. I mean, you can do like, what do they call them? Those little pine cones, Jimmy? You remember those?
Alder cones.
Yeah, alder cones. Those don't last long. They'll decay, but I think they look pretty.
Yeah, I love driftwood as long as you don't have somebody in the tank eating the driftwood. We just saw what happened in my 90-gallon tank over at my house. We constantly had the driftwood leaching after, 5 years? My tank looks like a brackish tank. It's just so dark. And what we found out is that we had a couple of plecos in there, and they're constantly chewing on the driftwood. And once we took the plecos out of there, the driftwood kind of seals itself back up, and the water now is crystal clear. And that was a thing that we learned from Ty. Our buddy Ty Tolfrud stopped in and said, try taking them out and see if that helps. Because I'm going, why is my wood still leaching out after 5 years being in the tank?
And just to note that Jimmy gave me that Pleco, and it immediately spread the next day.
You suck.
So in your face.
Yeah, it did. It was 2.5 days, and you had eggs and.
Oh yeah, it was immediately the next day that they actually had eggs. So.
Yep.
What things do you wish you had known about tank care and fish in general that would have saved you lots of trouble in the long run? I'm going to let Dabby answer this one.
Yeah, so if I can give you one piece of advice, if you are starting up a fish room, order the damn bulkheads. Do not try and DIY them. It is a horrible experience. It works in the end, and you may save 50 cents. Just order the bulkheads.
So to explain this, you saw some videos online, a bunch of different people giving cheap ways to make bulkheads.
Yep.
Essentially, you took two PVC, or they're just adapters, which had a 1/8 of an inch lip on them.
Yep.
And that's what they expected you to put a gasket on and fit correctly. Much less, they didn't actually seal flush. So it was an actual nightmare getting these things. We had to Dremel each and every one of these things just to get them to fit. We had to cut the tips off because they wouldn't screw in flush. And then when we got them in, the gaskets would rip, and because they're not the correct made flat gaskets for these things, they would warp and pop. But after pulling teeth, we ended up paying $1 more, just ordering them online, and got them to work, but certainly wasn't a pretty process. It added probably a half a day to our work.
Yeah, a half a day easy.
I totally agree because I've done the exact same thing, and because we didn't want to, we had to do 100 of them. We ended up piecing 4 different pieces of PVC together to make the bulkhead, and we couldn't get them to line properly. Same thing with the gaskets. So I totally agree. You guys are on spot there.
Any recommendations from Adam or you, Jim, for other things that you would have learned?
Heaters.
What about heaters?
They all suck. Like they just suck. I have lost more expensive fish to heaters and more of my safe quote unquote favorite fish to heaters, and I've had more freaking problems with heaters than with anything else. Like and then you're all, oh, look at my tank. You get your tank all beautiful. You get plate-sized discus. You're going to breed them, and then they die. You get L46 zebra plecos. Oh,
and then they die.
The heater shot, and then they die. I mean, heaters kill more stuff. That's my main thing.
Get yourself a titanium grounding rod.
Well, yeah, that's what taught me.
$12.
Yep,
and
keep it in all your tanks.
I just myself one, actually, because I was starting to get a little bit of zap from my brand new heater. So I'm just done with it, and I'm going to get the rod.
Yeah.
All right, next question would be, plant seeds from wish.com. Are they a scam? Are they even real? What are the best ways to grow? Immersed underwater? And you know what? I've been hearing this from a lot of people. I decided to get myself some seeds. So I'm going to let you guys know. I ordered a couple different packs from a Wish of different, I literally got, what's it called? The assortment. It's a big pack full of, I think it's like 8-9 different plants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore all the recommendations online on all hype because there's a lot of online. And I'm going to grow these just like I was taught in elementary school. So in elementary school, I was taught to take a Ziploc sandwich bag, take a wet napkin or wet paper towel, put it in there, and I mean sopping wet. You put the seed into the napkin, and then you hide the entire Ziploc bag with bean inside of it in a warm, dark place. And in 2 days, you'll have an entire sprouted little plant out of your bean. I want to do these to all these aquarium seeds. Sprout them, get a tote with a grow light, and see what happens. Maybe they'll grow in water, maybe they won't, but I'm going to put each one of these in water. I'm going to sprout them first, and I'll get back to you on a podcast on that.
It'll be about 3 months till they get here, but we'll get back to you.
Oh, they're here. I just got to get it done.
What?
They just came in.
I
ordered them, I heard about the coronavirus, and like, I need it now.
That's a good way to get it.
Right? Mm. So, next question is the best bottom feeder for an Oscar or large cichlid tank. Also, what type of plants would work well with the South African cichlids? South American cichlids. Jimmy and I found a long time ago on one of the Seagrass lists this monster cory. I'm going to butcher the name. Brachius. I can't remember what it was. It's like a 5-inch Corydora. It's
the Brocus species?
It's Brocus.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. And literally you'll see them in pet stores. They'll be labeled monster cory. And they're a beautiful Corydora. They look like a bronze Corydora, but they're just massive. And because of the size, they're not picked on like the other cichlids are in a tank. So they're safe for, Oscars, African cichlids, South American cichlids. That's really the species I recommend, besides doing loaches, because loaches are, yo-yo loaches, tiger loaches, even clown loaches if you can get them in a nice size. Those are always good ones that feed on the bottom. And as far as plants for South American cichlid, I think the most beautiful thing personally are like swords. Anytime you get a beautiful cichlid going through melon swords, but that's just a personal preference. I would contact some of the Facebook groups, South American Cichlid Forum. They have such specialized requirements for a lot of these South American cichlids. I couldn't really tell you, besides I've really had success with that in the past.
Aren't a lot of South Americans going to dig them up anyways?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like your Geophagus, your convicts, basically all your South Americans, all of your cichlids in general are going to dig up their plants. I was thinking for that, like Java moss or willow moss or something, a moss type that you could put on rocks that, it'll be there.
Well, I think that's why I had such luck with melons. Because the melon swords that I had were so big, there's no way they can possibly, unless they're digging to the complete bottom of the tank and they're a geocichlid.
Yeah.
Anywho, next question is best type of CO2 systems. So essentially, from what I've seen, there's like 3 different types. You can DIY your own using like baking soda method in a 7-Up bottle with some tubes and gaskets. You can get the gaskets cheap on eBay or Amazon. Method 2 would be buying some pre-done CO2 kits. You can get them from Fluval, and they come with replaceable canisters that you can continually purchase. And it's like literally taking your wallet and lighting it on fire. Sounds like it's a bad system.
That would be.
That's
it's
pretty accurate.
If you buy a new iPhone, like you have to have the new iPhone every single year, that's probably for you. You can afford those CO2 systems. But for the rest of us, we go to our local weld shops. You go to a welding shop where you can get canisters of CO2. You can either rent the canister or you can purchase a canister and have them refilled there for really cheap. And just purchasing this, intended for industrial use canister and then just hook up your own adapters is the cheapest way to get large amounts of CO2. That's how pet stores do it. If they're having CO2 injector systems, they're getting these things from welding shops because it costs them $5-10 to refill their tank they purchased.
That's not what I use my CO2 unit for, but okay.
What do you use yours for, Adam?
You remember, Jim?
I think
that's how I was sticking his hands in.
No, that's how he. That's how he used to. Adam sold frozen rodents.
I used to breed rodents.
And anyway, when the rodents needed to go to sleep, he'd CO2 them and then put them in. And he'd put them in the freezer because some people, snake people are. Okay, reptile people in general are nuts. But anyway,
I will agree. But no, I would see. Okay, rats know when you're going to kill them.
Oh yeah, they do.
Mice don't. Like there's a difference in intelligence level with rats and mice.
Rats are super smart.
Yeah,
and super destructive.
It's like Adam's here. Yes. We're gonna die.
No, I wouldn't always. I had favorites that I wouldn't kill, but that's not the point.
Like children. My God.
You're cute. You squeaked at me. You live.
No, it was. But anyways, so like it's just easier when you're breeding large numbers of rats and mice to put them all in a box that all the ones that you're going to wipe out that day and put a CO2 unit and just put the lid on the box and turn on the CO2 unit. It's the most humane way to kill them that I knew and know how to do.
Yeah. I mean, and backing up Adam on this, I can tell you on two different hands how many people I know that have had a $4 rat kill their $300 snake.
Oh,
I'm not kidding you. A rat will kill. I mean, you can throw a live rat into with a 7-foot snake, and you'll come back and the rat's sitting on top of the snake, and the snake's dead.
Yep, just chewed the crap out of it. I've seen him kill cobras.
Yeah, and so most people want to feed a dead rodent, and for two reasons. First reason we just talked about, so they don't hurt their prized possession. Second one is when you throw rats in, seriously, you throw rats into your snake or your other animals that are going to eat them, then you're teaching them to just strike whatever's moving. Well, you know what? What the next time there's something moving in their cage is probably your damn hand. And my buddy Mark,
well, quit putting on rat gloves. All right, that is, you don't put googly eyes and a sock. It's gonna look like the Jackass movies.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story real quick. So I was over in Bemidji, Minnesota, at my friend's pet store, which is now closed, but it's called Friendly Fins. And Mark, my buddy, and you've heard me talk about Mark before, big guy. He's about the size of Robbie. I just got there to deliver fish one day and stuff, and Randy, he had a veterinarian on staff that he shared the building with, and Randy came out the building with this look on his face like the place was on fire. He goes, "Come help me." I go, "What?" He goes, "Tiny is wrapped around Mark's arm." And so I ran in to the pet store. Now, Tiny was his 11-foot snake, and this snake was very docile. He would take it to schools and use it.
Kind of like how you name a dog with missing.
Right, but this snake,
its tail, it's lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So this snake was, very docile. He took it into schools, kids handled it and whatnot. Well, what happened is that he fed him live food all the time, but this particular day the snake is shedding, and
also it's blue.
Yeah, and it can't see very well out of its eyes because of the shed over the eyes. And he had fed the snake, and then the snake pooped, and he reached in and he had rubber gloves on, white rubber gloves. He reaches in to grab that poop, and the snake swallowed his thumb and wrapped around his arm, and his arm was black. It wasn't blue, it was black. And this snake, it took, for a second, I thought we were going to have to cut its head off to get it off Mark's arm. It was probably about a 110-pound snake. The look on Mark's face was of terror. And Randy said, "I got a quick idea," because the three of us are trying to pull the snake off, and there's no way we're getting the snake off. So Randy, the veterinarian, took off, came back with a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, poured it in the snake's mouth. He released.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Either alcohol works or water.
Yep. You put hydrogen
poured in their mouth.
I mean, it works the same way with Jaeger and Jimmy. He'll just, he'll let you go.
That's right. I'll let you out of the headlock once you buy me a drink. Absolutely.
Man, I mean, that's the last time I do hot yoga in front of my snake.
That's right. So CO2 is a wonderful thing for other things than plants.
Yes.
All right, next question. How do I add or change substrate materials in a tank that's already set up? My current setup is gravel, sand base. I'm looking to grow more natural plants. The goal is to add guppies in for breeding, 20-gallon bristlenose, one lone surviving the dwarf frog, and some ram's horns. Number one, if you want to breed fish, there's too many other fish in the tank. Number two, you want to transition to a different gravel. Why? Just because you add plants and someone told you you can't use sand or gravel?
Sand sucks.
Well, you can use it. So what I'd recommend is instead of switching out your substrate, because the only way to successfully switch out your substrate is starting over. Your substrate's what holds the cycle besides your filter. So if you don't have a nice filter, odds are you're going to switch out the substrate. You're going to have issues with your fish getting stuff in their gills, taking out all the good biological bacteria. So the only way to do it successfully and safely is starting over. So instead of that, go online, go to Amazon.com, purchase fertilizer tabs. You can get a bunch of them. Just line the bottom of your tank and take tweezers and add the fertilizer tabs into your substrate, and that adds essentially black dirt into your tank. So you can use the sand, you can use the gravel bases as long as it's a mix, and go with more natural plants. And there's plants, like Jimmy said before, that you don't have to root, that you can put in there regardless. But if you want rooting plants, I have only sand in my tank, and all I use is these tabs, and it works great. So give that a go. Hopefully that helps you out.
Also, the beta is going to kill the guppies.
Oh, yeah. He wants to breed guppies, and he has a bunch of different other fish. And it's especially the frogs alone. The frogs could eat the guppies.
Yeah, the dwarf frog will eat the guppies and the guppy babies. But, well, no. If this is the dwarf frog, they only get like 1.5 inches, 2 inches.
It depends. It could be a clawed frog. I don't know.
Yeah. But the beta will kill the guppies because they got that flowing fins, and betas just get pissy sometimes with things.
So hopefully that answered it. So
much
next
anger.
One is specifically for Jimmy.
What?
He added a picture, and I'll explain this picture to you, Jimmy. Actually, I have control of Jimmy's computer right now, so I can actually pull up the picture so Jimmy can look at this. I think that'll be the best way to get this question answered. So, see that car, Jimmy?
Yes.
All right. How many sponge filters does Jim think I can make out of?
Oh, my God.
Now, for those listening on the podcast, it kind of looks like a 1960s era Chevy Chevelle.
Yeah. 2-door. Let me see.
I'm thinking, 2-door. The back seat's going to be a little crimped. I'm thinking you can get, 120 out of those seats?
Yeah, I'm getting 75 out of the front, maybe 50 out of the back. Yeah, about 125.
Last 50 could be thin. I mean, it depends what condition it is.
And there again, it's an old car. The back seat, I probably wouldn't even use the sponge from back there because it's probably all nasty.
It's probably filled with biological bacteria.
There you go. It's probably
yeah.
Exactly. It's probably already filled with something nasty, and we don't want that floating around in your tanks. No, for you cheap asses out there that give me crap about this, I buy all my foam from the foam people now that I have money. So I don't have to use it.
It just so happens that the car manufacturers buy it from the same place he buys it from.
Right? Yeah, pretty much for half the price.
Yeah.
I hope you all die in your sleep. Just saying.
Well, on that note, that brings us to the end of our questions. So, guys, if you got more questions for us, we answer questions on every podcast that you guys send us emails. You can leave a voicemail. We play it right on the podcast for us. AquariumGuysPodcast.com, bottom of the website. You find all our info. And the guy that emailed us, that Phil gentleman with the giant community tank and eel, I called him within 2 minutes of the email. I was editing the podcast. He sent me the message, and he was tickled pink that I gave him a call so fast. He could have never expected that. We're really responsive. It's not going to last forever. Our podcast is growing exponentially, and until we can't, we're going to answer everything you try to throw at us.
There's also a law against stalking, Rod.
He stalked me, and then I received.
Oh, you stalked him back.
I did. That's a mutual bond. That's why I'm here with Dabby. He was a stalker of mine. And
there you go. Yeah, you never know. Your stalker might turn into your best friend.
He did have a banjo and said I had a pretty mouth, but we'll get to that in the next podcast.
Yeah. For everybody listening,
no, don't explain that joke, Jimmy.
No, I'm just gonna say Adam and I have been sending him all kinds of banjo stuff,
Oh yeah,
and ask him if he can squeal like a pig, stuff like that and stuff.
Oh, he did.
Did he? Wow.
Enjoy after we got the tanks done.
You're going to come back a changed man.
All right, guys. I'll see you in the next podcast in Minnesota in Studio B with Jimmy. And I wish you guys a great week. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast.
See ya.
Thanks, guys, for listening to this podcast. Please visit us at aquariumguyspodcast.com and listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and anywhere you can listen to podcasts.
We're practically
Thanks.
everywhere. We're on Google. I mean, just go to your favorite place. Pocket Casts. Subscribe to make sure it gets push notifications directly to your phone. Otherwise, Jim will be crying into sleep.
Can I listen to it in my treehouse?
In your treehouse, in your fish room, even alone at work.
What about at my man cave?
Especially your man cave.
Yeah.
Only if Adam's there
No.
with feeder guppies.
No.
They're endless.
You midget-loving, sucking motherfucker.
Well, I guess we'll see you next time. Later.